Yeah, so you and my grandmother have been married for 23 years this January.
Very good, yes.
You had to make an honest woman out of my grandma after I was born, so...
Yeah, that was it. And she is honest, by the way.
You have 2 children.
I do.
And 2 stepchildren, technically.
True.
Technically.
And so does your grandma.
Yeah, 2 children, 2 stepchildren. And 3 grandchildren.
Correct. 1 good one, 2 fill-ins.
2 spares.
And 2 spares, yes.
Yeah.
I have quite an array of grandchildren, I claim.
And now you're retired, but why don't
3
you...
legally.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've done for work over the years?
When I was in Ohio... Oh, is Ohio allowed?
You can say
Okay,
Ohio, yeah.
Okay, it's Ohio, remember. I worked, trying to get a job in a dog food factory, but my hair was too long. I was going to have to cut my hair, and I said, no, that's not good, so I didn't do that. I worked in a factory making snow fence, which is also the fence you see on the beach that holds the sand from becoming sand dunes. And then I started driving truck. I did that for 20 years, moved down here, continued driving, hauling gasoline out of Port Everglades and Port Tampa. And then that got to be, okay, my sister said, you need to come and do this. So I said, okay. So we got into the independent concessionaire business of traveling around festivals and fairs.
I heard there's another name for that.
Well, if you want to be wrong, yes.
Also commonly referred to as the term carny.
If you set up with the carnival, you can be a carny.
You were
yes.
independent, yes, but you worked in carnivals, festivals, and fairs.
I worked at fairs and festivals. Sometimes there was a carnival, sometimes there wasn't.
Okay, so why don't you elaborate on what the difference is? Carnival is when there are rides there.
Very good.
So then what's
you have
Really?
you have
There's actually a difference?
You have
So
a master's, don't
What's
you?
the difference between a fair and a carnival?
Well, there's
really
a
don't know.
fair. You can have a 4-H fair. All they have is animals.
Okay.
And some vendors selling things. Or you can have a carnival at your fair, and they have all the rides and games and cotton
blowing
candy.
my
and all
mind.
Yeah,
that.
I don't think I knew the difference. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I can understand that.
You did that for how long? Wait, you said airbrushing, right? Mm-hmm. But you also did sand, right?
We did sand art for about 1.5 years.
That was before or after
That was before the airbrushing because we thought, wow, this is making us a ton of money. And it was. Not a ton, but...
What felt like a ton,
What
yeah.
felt like a ton, considering I was working 80 hours a pay period hauling gasoline for $10
Yeah.
an hour. And so we quit that and we started to sand and then came home and said, this is great. And then we go, oh, wait, we don't have any shows booked for the next 3 months. So we quickly changed and started airbrushing, and we did much better with airbrushing. We did that for about 23 years.
How do you get into like sand stuff? How do you get into that? Just like stumble into it, or?
My sister took us to, she went to the, as I call it, the Carney Opportunity meeting in Gibtown.
Okay, so
And
you can say it, but I can't.
You're not in business, dear.
Oh, okay.
So she went down there and she said, hey, I think this would be cool and cheap to get into.
Sure.
For $1,000, we got into our own business and started that way.
And the overhead is the jars, the sand, and that's it, really?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, you get a tent or a trailer or,
Yeah.
whatever, and your whole setup is, food trailers cost hundreds of $1,000s.
Wow.
Our tent and our setup and tables was, $600, $700, $800 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe $1,000, I guess. So, but it was all good. It all worked out well.
And they did
We
the
used to
photo
travel.
pressing.
They did sand art. Well, she was doing a lot of custom shirts. She painted, like tuxedo shirts and, like everybody, waiter shirts, you might say, in a restaurant. You see everybody wearing a nice white shirt. She made designs on those, glittered them, and you could see.
Oh, she painted them? Mm-hmm. But then they also did the photo pressing, right?
Well, that was later on.
Yeah.
She did that, and then she did the sand art also, and then she did the computer photos.
That's pretty cool.
She was did very well in her endeavors. At one time, she had I think it was 10 spots up at USA Flea Market in another town north of here. Soon to be named later, I guess. And, she was very, very productive there. And she was like the Southeast distributor for Spalding sports socks. Anytime somebody wanted socks, they would say, call this number. And it all went through them. So they did good.
Yeah.
We did good. They did good. They did better, but we did good.